Going live. Cameras on. I'm live. I'm on YouTube, by the way, in case you're wondering. In case you're thinking, hey, is this fucker on YouTube? Yes. Yes, I am. All right, what do we got here? Let's go to my favorite news site. No, it's not my favorite. It's just one of them. Zero Hedge. Okay. Crude, crypto, rip, stocks dip, yield curve, and gold scream, policy error. That's a pretty spicy headline, but I think it's correct. Let's see. Somebody says that gold is the most effective commodity investment. That's bullshit. It's the second most. Silver is the most. All righty. Trump doubles down on plans to make Strait of Hormuz a U.S. territory. Ugh. Really? You can't make this shit up, really. I mean, come on. Trump is going to make the Strait of Hormuz a U.S. territory. How exactly the fuck are we going to do that? Like, how are we going to secure it as a U.S. territory? Which side of the Strait of Hormuz are we going to put Marines on? The Iran side, inside of Iran, or on the Oman side? You know, Oman, one of our allies, who we just said we'll bomb the shit out of if they get in our way. That's how we treat our allies. Can you imagine how we treat our enemies? Actually, the Taliban is our enemy, and we send them millions of dollars a week. The Taliban in Afghanistan. You know, the country next door to Iran, the Persian Empire. Let's see. Fake news, the long history. Yeah, there's been a lot of fake news over the years. The Hearst papers ran a picture of the Spanish putting a mine underneath the USS Maine in Havana Harbor and blowing it up. Now, that's not what happened. A coal bunker blew up and blew up the USS Maine. But the Hearst newspaper syndicate said, no, we're pretty sure that was Spain. So we went to war with Spain over a newspaper article. Wow. Now, I'm wondering if anybody can explain this to me. Eric Swalwell admitted to fang banging, quote, rusty thumbs amid FBI investigation into illegal donations, documents show. I don't understand literally half of that sentence. Am I living under a rock? Is there something I should know? By the way, thank you for all the likes. 52,000 likes last night. That was pretty good. Pretty good. I don't understand any of that shit, what they just said there. Entering the gates of lies. Unmasking the climate version of Theranos. Oh, now come on. That's not. Bill Gates' daughter is fucking hot. Okay? Can I just say that? She's hot. Black hair, blue eyes. She's She's felonicious, because she's going to be a felon. She won't be a felon. They have too much money. They'll work it out. It's one of those things where when you've got that much money and you kill somebody, it's just, yeah, well, that's the thing is, Bill Gates was, just an average looking nerd as far as I could see, but his wife was really, just plain, extremely plain. Not ugly. She's not an unattractive woman. She's not an attractive woman. She's just a woman. Huh. But you know what? In a way, I admire that, because there are some really, really hot, sexy women out there that I would not be able to make it through dinner with. I would, since I have a no hitting women policy, I think it's kind of just a man thing. You just don't do that. So I would actually end up punching myself in the face. Pretty hard. I mean, it would be full on like assault and battery. If I had to sit through a dinner with a lot of these women who are just vacuous turds, but they're very pretty to look at. And then there are some women that the more they talk, the hotter they get. You guys know what I mean. You know what I mean? There are women out there that, they may be in their 40s or 50s and they may have a few wrinkles here and there, but boy, the more they talk, the hotter they get. Looking for one of those, by the way. You know anybody? Trying to find me one of those. Judith, you might be her. I don't know. Police attacked during massive teen brawl. What the hell? This is yesterday's. We already heard about the young, scholarly African-American kids who destroyed the fucking Wisconsin State Fair. Go to Chicago. Chicago is where they send all the rejects from the Midwest. I don't even know if you know that or not, but 10-1 women in Chicago. Well, that's good. But yeah, all the people that are too crazy for Iowa, people in Indiana are like, oh yeah, a nice person, but there's something not right about them. Yeah, they get sent to Chicago. Same thing with, I'm pretty sure, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Like, you send all the crazy ones to Chicago and they'll fit in, because Chicago is a crazy place. Just make sure you send them with a Kevlar vest, because they're going to need it there. Hey, musical chairs. We have never seen such a decoupling between price and breadth. That's funny. I was just talking to one of my clients who's, I'm sure, on here. Tony, hello. I was just talking to him about the fact that right now the music is still playing. Everybody's trying to stay as close to a chair as they possibly can. But I like his strategy and my strategy better, which is get lots of silver and go stand next to the exit. Because when the music stops, let me tell you something. You have never seen a more violent game of musical chairs. When the music stops, the rich people will absolutely crush everybody else on their way to getting a chair. There we go. That's better. 10-1 in San Antonio. Is silver up? No, I think it's down a little bit today, which is not a bad thing if you're trying to accumulate it, which you should be. It's at 63. Says it's down 15 cents right now. Whoa, what do we got here? 5.277 on the yield for a 30-year. I don't like that, folks. Women are gorgeous in San Antonio. I can believe that. And by the way, you asked me if Sliver is up. Sliver is one of my favorite Nirvana songs. It's an outstanding song. It's the perfect rock song because it talks about being a kid and being dropped off at your grandparents' house while your parents go out to dinner. That's it. That's what the song's about. Um, Women are gorgeous in San Antonio. That's interesting because I know that there's a lot of hot Hispanic women down there. Tejano culture is big in that area, and Tejano culture is very cool. It's a blend of very proud to be a Texan and an American, and very proud to be a Mexican. It's pretty cool because we all know that they're caballeros are badass cowboys. They have to this day some of the best cowboys ever. Tough dudes. So yeah, it's a great culture. I love the Mexican culture. Too bad about the whole drug thing down there because Mexicans in and of themselves are fucking awesome. Just cool people. Never ever had a problem with that culture. You know, they want the same thing we do. Big family, make enough money to have a decent place to live, nice car. They love to play their oompa 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 music, which is pretty funny since half my family's Polish, and that's polka music. Just straight up, that's polka music with a little bit of a salsa twist to it. Okay, let's see here. SQQ. SQQ. By the way, SQQ is ProShares Ultra Pro Short. Oh yeah. A lot of Polacks in Chicago. Damn right. That's a fact. Yeah. You combine the Italian or the Mexican food, that really amazing food, along with some hot little Latina that's making it. That's a good life. That's a good life right there. That makes a man want to get up and go to work and work hard all day. Steven, hello, buddy. Yeah. So, by the way, if you didn't write that down, just to be clear, write this down now. ProShares Ultra Pro Short QQQ. Call sign SQQ. Not financial advice. This is a NASDAQ stock market short ETF. Basically, the harder the market sucks balls, the better this is going to do. Not financial advice. Don't be stupid. Read between the lines. That is awesome. Minnesota and their polka. Oh, yeah, you betcha. Love it up there. Let's see. One more time. SQQQ. Not QQQ. That bets on the market going up. SQQQ bets on the market going down. Now, that's the NASDAQ. S&P 500 would be, SH. Let me check. Let's just make sure, shall we? Where would I do that? Ah, search. Dumbass. Okay, search. Let's go to Forex, cryptos, indices. What? All types? All sectors? No. Futures, Forex. Funds. Ah, there we go. SH, right? Is it SH? I'm going to SH. Oh, shit, there's so many of them. VOO. How is the Iran conflict going? Oh, we won again today, last night. Are you getting tired of winning yet? Because Trump said we're going to get sick of winning. That's how much winning we're going to do. We're going to win so bigly that we're going to get sick of it. And to be quite frank with you, I'm pretty fucking sick of it. ProShares Ultra S&P 500. Now that's not the right one because that is up. I want down. SH, right? Yeah. Help me. ProShares, short, SP 500. It is SH. Okay. So SH, New York Stock Exchange. It's up, as I guessed it would be. VOO. All right, well, let's see what you're talking about. VOO. Vanguard ETF. Yeah, not impressed. Not impressed. I do not want anything to do with that. And it's not that it's bad. It's just an S&P 500 index growth fund. And I think that the growth is cancerous. I think it's a malignant growth. So I'm not betting on it going up anymore. It's up 19% in a year. I mean, silver's whooping its ass, but still, it's up 73% over 5 years. Silver's whooping its ass, but still, it's up 252% over 10 years. I think you know what I'm going to say. So over 10 years, it is just about the same as silver. Just a lot more risk. A lot more risk. So SH and SQQ. We can vote for someone else. Yeah. I'm going to go with yes. I don't even think that was a question. You just posed it as an answer. But okay. Yes. Yes, you can do that. Good luck with that. You know, part of me wants to get rid of the goatee part of this and just keep the mustache. Malignant growth. You can vote for someone else. No, I wasn't talking about the president. Although it's funny that you assume when I said malignant growth, I was talking about the president of the United States. No. No, I was talking about the growth in the stock market, which I don't I see that it could go up a little bit more. It would be almost vertical if it does, just straight up. However, based on where we're at now, coming off of our highs, and I'm going to check this again because it looks it looks like we could be setting up what is a classic, what they call bull trap, not to be confused with politicians who spew bull crap. All right, let's go NASDAQs. All right, so the NASDAQ is, let's do 5 years. From March 26, let's see, 23, down here, where's this? 25, 17, from 17 to 29, that's a big jump. That's a big jump. Okay, now let's look at the S&P 500s. Oh man, it's just up and up and up and up. So if I go back to 24, end of 23, we're at 4,000. Now we're at almost 8,000. We're at 76.91. That's a huge gain. That is an absolutely enormous gain over less than 3 years. You know what? Let's do something old-fashioned. What has the NASDAQ gone up traditionally on average per year over the last 30 years? Okay. The NASDAQ has gone up traditionally roughly 11 to 12% per year. Okay. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it for a second while I go back and I look at the NASDAQ now and I go to 10 years. Let's go back to, I said 30 years, so 96. Wow. This time in 96, it was at 663. Now it's at 29,000. So it goes up approximately 11 to 12% per year between the end of 22 and now. In the last 4 years, it has gone up by 300%. Do you think that that might be slightly out of whack? Maybe just a little out of whack? Just a little too much? Because we know one thing. We know that averages are a good, I'll give you an example, 4.5%. That's what people make in real estate, 4.5%. Over the last 100 years plus, they average 4%, 4.5%. So what happens in like 2006 when it's going up by 35% a year? Well, 2008, where it goes down by 30 or 40%. And then 2009, 2010, where basically housing lost about 40% of its value over the course of a few years. And then it started going back up again. Now it's back into that rarefied air, or it was for a little while. Now it seems that the real estate market is finally turning, and that's not a good sign. The average new home buyer for the first time is in their 40s now. Used to be 23. So unless it comes down by a lot, by 80%, homes are not affordable in the United States anymore. And they won't be until after the economy collapses, completely collapses. But when you see that the average year in the NASDAQ is 11 or 12%, that's good. Look, if you're making 11 or 12% in your money, you're doing okay. Back out 3% for bullshit inflation and whatnot. You're still netting 7%. Now take out 30% of what you made for taxes, because Uncle Sam, has always got a Glock pointed at your face. So you have to pay those. So you're still making a few percent, maybe 4%. So, but if you're making 4% over the course of 20 years and it's compounding, yada, yada, blah, 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 whatever, you're doing okay, because that's factoring in all of the inflation. What I'm looking at on this chart, this is fucking Looney Tunes. This is crazy. Okay. This is Daffy Duck shit here. This is December of 22. We're at 10,000. And now we're at 29,400. That's not even 4 years have gone by. So now we're not talking about 11, 12% per year. I hate doing percentages. If something goes from 10,000 to 29,000 over 4 years, what percentage per year is that? It depends on how you measure it. Figures never lie, but liars always figure. Okay, 30% per year if you use the standard compounded rate, compound annual growth rate, meaning the growth builds on top of itself every year. 47.5% per year if you use a simple average rate, which treats the growth as equal chunks strictly based on the original 10,000. That's what we're talking about. So that would be 47.5%. So if we're looking at 47.5% a year on an index that has averaged over the last more than quarter of a century, has averaged 11 to 12%, do you think we might be in a bubble? It's very, very simple. Does that look like it could be a bubble? 47.5% per year for the last 4 years. But on average, it's only been, 11 to, here's one. If we took out the last 4 years and we just looked at what the NASDAQ averaged from, say, 96 to 2006, or from 96 to 2016, and now we look at what's been happening for the last 4 years, folks, this is what Maynard Keynes said and was very famous for saying, no, I don't like him. No, I don't agree with him. I think that he was a terrible economist in a lot of ways. But one thing that he did get right, the market can stay irrationally exuberant for longer than you can stay solvent. That's a very famous quote. And the reason it's famous is because we have been irrationally exuberant. Yes, Michael Burry is absolutely correct. We are we're doing 120 miles an hour in an old convertible without seat belts. And we are literally about to run into a freeway overpass embutment. Like, we are going to get destroyed. Now, when I say we, not me, I've been down this road. I've seen this fucking play too many times. I know this. But there are so many people that are going to go, no, not this time. This time's different. Well, at this point, I would say that you don't sell all of your stocks and buy precious metals. You sell a good portion of your tech stocks, and you do buy a very large amount of precious metals, yes. But the other thing that you do is you start buying insurance. Now, I don't mean flood insurance. We all know that's bullshit and they'll never pay out. I don't mean health insurance. United Healthcare turns down like 90% of its claims. It's why I think Luigi Mangione is a fucking vigilante hero, because Brian Thompson killed more people than Pol Pot, most likely. Yes. Chuck, you win the door prize. I'll have to figure that out later. But yes, you start betting that the market is going to shit the bed. Now, you don't have to go all in. You don't have to sell all your tech stocks and buy $100,000 worth of puts. But it seems to me, since I said years ago, this market is out of fucking control. Out of control. And then it kept going. And I said, man, this could be a serious blow off top. And it kept going. Okay. Well, they just raised rates. It's going to tank. Yes, I was right. Sort of. It went down by, 30% over the course of 2022. I thought it was going to go down more than that. I thought it was going to be like a real correction. Nope. They stayed irrationally exuberant. So, but I was right. They raised rates and it tanked the market. So, why are you Jewish, gang? That doesn't even make sense. Can you do me a favor and rephrase that in English? In slightly less mumbo jumbo. But all the whole oligarchy is vested in the stock market. For now. For now. So you have to understand something. If the oligarchy decided to pull out, I think that the prevailing theory is that, oh my God, the market would drop by 80% overnight if all the rich people took their money out. That's not how it works. Who's got the most money and therefore the most to lose in the stock market? You do. You and people like you. 401ks, IRAs, pension funds, and never underestimate the stupidity of really educated people in large numbers. Pension funds got absolutely bent over and driven home in 2006, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, some might say that they don't care, not their money. It's a pension fund. Tough shit. The idea that we are worried about the stock market collapsing is not really the in my opinion the right place to worry. Look, if you're all in on tech stocks, if that's it, like you're out there naked, okay, go for it. Do what you got to do, man. But when the shit hits the fan, don't blame anybody but yourself. You're the one who decided that tech stocks never fail, which we all know they do constantly and repeatedly. So when you look at where the economy is and what could be the most dangerous, I think that the most dangerous thing right now is that when we told banks, you guys can't make stupid, dangerous, irresponsible loans anymore. It's not okay. They said, okay, you're right. Just give us your tax money and we'll fix it. But after you reimburse us for the stupid shit we've pulled. Okay, that's what American people are here for. The American public is here to pay for the sins of the rich. If you're down here, it's capitalism. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you sissy. If you're up here, it's socialism. Of course, we're going to take care of you. We can't allow your company to collapse. You have too many people working for you. 3 jobs at minimum wage without any benefits. So we're going to give you this guy's money because this guy, he's just here to fill the void. You, on the other hand, you're important. So that's kind of how that works. But this time it's going to be a little different because the banks are already failing. They're just not the banks you think. They are the private equity funds. The private equity funds. So if I have a company and my company is way too dangerous, just stupidly dangerous, this idea, if it works, it's great. It's going to make money. But if it doesn't work, it's going to implode and there's not going to be anything left to sell off. It's just a shit show. Where do I go get money? Well, I would go to a private equity fund and they would act as my private bankers. Okay, so basically there's a shadow bank system in the United States. Yep, sure is. Wait a minute, where's the money come from? Comes from you. You just don't know it. What does that mean? Well, as we all know, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, a host of others, Fidelity, they all own each other. They're all interwoven. And they all retain your IRA or your 401k or your pension plan if you work for a city. All of that money goes into them, and then they get to disperse it into whatever they decide. And they've decided to make trillions of dollars of very, very dangerous tech loans. Now, BlackRock is the biggest of all of these sort of front companies. And I call them front companies because it's people say BlackRock owns everything. BlackRock doesn't own shit. Okay. BlackRock doesn't own anything. They have approximately $10 trillion under management. Well, wait, under management? What the hell does that mean? It's not their money. It's your money. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, what are they investing in that's so dangerous? Everything. Everything that a bank says no to, a private equity firm will say yes to. Just depends on how much you offer them. 6%. Well, you got my attention now. I'll give you, you know what? I'll do it for 8. You give me 8% and I will make this company work. Okay. That's great. Well, here's the problem. Blackstone last year, when their real estate holdings started to fall apart, some people said, hey, we would like to get our money back out of our fund that we gave to you. And they said, oh, no, you can't have it. What do you mean I can't have it? Well, it's not like a bank. It's not like you come in and withdraw. You have certain time frames at which point you can withdraw certain amounts. But this ain't it. This ain't that time. And so, no. That was a little bit of a shakeup. There were some people that were pretty pissed about that. It wasn't all of Blackstone. It was a portion of Blackstone that apparently had made some rather dubious decisions in real estate in Norway. All right, well, Norway's a long fucking way from, Detroit or whatever. So, whatever. BlackRock, on the other hand. Now, BlackRock's your daddy. BlackRock is everybody's daddy. They babysit everybody's money. There's $40 trillion in the world. There's $40 trillion in the world. That's it. Now, I know you're thinking, bullshit, man. We got $40 fucking trillion in debt. Yes, that's debt. But in terms of circulating currency, there's $40 trillion in the world. That's all there is. Whether you go to Moscow or Beijing or Singapore or wherever the fuck you go, add up everybody's money in the whole world. And it's about $40 trillion. They control $10 trillion in assets. Theoretically. They said that the people who wanted their money back from this fund that they had put together could have some of it. The people said, all right, well, we would like, I forget what the exact number was, but it was something like, we just want, $18 billion. And BlackRock said, we'll give you 60. 60 billion? No, 60 million. And then that's it. You can't have the rest. What do you mean we can't have the rest? We'd like to withdraw. Nope, that window is closed. You can't withdraw it now. This is going to be the shit show. Because people are going to start realizing that, wait a minute, these huge, huge funds that were put together in our name, they don't have the money. They can't give us back the money. Well, if your bank is broke, what do you do? Well, theoretically, you run to the FDIC, even though that's a joke. The FDIC doesn't have any money. The FDIC is the FDIC for a reason. Look, if I'm federal, I got all the money in the world. I just print more. Hey man, I'm part of the federal government. You need more money? Hold on. Let me call up Bessent. He'll call up Schwarmer or whatever his name is, the new guy, and that's it. We'll just start printing up money. All right. The Federal Depository Insurance Corporation is a corporation, not part of the United States federal government. They just call it the Federal Depository Insurance Corporation because federal sounds meaty. I'm federal. You walk up to somebody, you say, I'm a federal agent. Oh, shit. All right. Federal agent, what do you need? You just hope they don't ask, because if you have to tell them that you're a federal poultry inspector, doesn't carry as much weight. Just say federal. Just like Federal Express. Are they federal? No. Federal Reserve Bank. Are they federal? No. Private company. So it's it's going to be interesting because at this point, your funds that are in the private equity companies, they don't have FDIC insurance. They don't have insurance. When they go boom, they go boom. Nobody gets a dime back, which means your pension funds disappear. Your 401ks and your IRAs disappear. Okay, well, then what? Well, the blowback is not going to just be for private equity. It is absolutely going to be a contagion that spreads straight into commercial and retail banking. Oh, yeah, well, those guys are going to need money. They're going to have to go and pull it from somewhere. You're going to have to pull it from somewhere. You're going to have to get it from somewhere. If you're retired and your retirement fund is gone, your pension just disappeared, what are you going to do? That's where we're at right now. That is the problem. Is you look at the NASDAQ, you look at the S&P 500 index. I mean, there's an argument to be made for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The Dow Jones Industrials are industrial companies. Theoretically, some of those companies could actually do well regardless of the economy of the United States. They're global, but they're centered here. So I'll give you an example. CAT. Call sign, CAT. Fortuitous. A lot of people think CAT is in deep shit. And the reason that they're in deep shit is because they did something that no farmer would have allowed in a million years. They made it so that if you buy a new tractor and your tractor breaks down, you can't fix it. You're not allowed to fix it. You're not allowed to touch it. You need the software key to get into the software to diagnose the problem. Otherwise, you can't touch it. Now, who has the software key? Well, obviously the official guys, the guys that are, CAT tractor repair, they have the key. So they can get you going again. The problem, of course, is that, like one of the guys I know that's in the middle of Arizona, he said that if he has to call CAT, I believe it was CAT, was it John Deere or CAT? I think it was CAT. He'd have to wait for quite a while, and it's $600 before they take a tool out of a tool bag. That's what they charge to drive out to his ranch, to his farm. $600 before they touch anything. So, we're talking about a company who is literally trying to cut their own throat right now. They're doing the exact same. Look, they're all doing what they can. They're all doing everything they can. Data centers are, there's 5,000 data centers in the United States already. There's less than 500 in China. And yet they manage to track every single human being, give them a political credit score, a social credit score that allows them to either get on the subway or not, get a job or not, pull money out of their account or not, buy food at the grocery store or not, depending on how good a citizen they've been. They managed to do all of that with less than 500 AI data centers. We've got 5,000, and we are dead set on building another 3,000. Well, what? Why? Why do we want to build one that is so large that it will literally take up the same amount of electricity as the city of Miami. Why would we do that? Because every single metric about you will be controlled. Now, I do have good news. For those of you who like butter cookies, this is why some people, Trump always says some people say, and it usually is bullshit. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. Some people say that I'm a little crazy. Maybe that's possible. But I do connect dots that most people don't. Butter cookies. Butter cookies will save your privacy. That's a fact. Let me explain. No, there's too much. Let me sum up. There you are. Yeah. Okay, butter cookies. I'm not actually stockpiling butter cookies. I mean, I am in the sense that I'm stockpiling them in my belly. But, oh, look, makes my eyes look so blue. I'm just going to walk around like this. Oh my gosh, you're making me blush. So, no, you don't bury them. You put your phone in them. These motherfuckers are so EMF proof. It's unbelievable. It is absolutely shocking. Put your phone in one. Have somebody call you. It will not ring. Now I've got bigger ones too. Now I've started actually getting bigger cookies or bigger cookie cans because I found out that I can fit just about anything in them. Now, if you have one of these on your seat in your car or your truck and you just toss your phone in there and close it up, number one, no temptation to answer that goddamn text in the middle of getting onto the freeway. Number two, and more importantly, you can't be tracked. You just disappeared. Now, I know that, let's see, I just bought, I wanted to escape some of the bullshit. Yes, absolutely. Does a Mylar bag work? Some of them will, some of them won't. That's why I like my butter cookies. So there's the butter cookies. I did an experiment. Some of you may have been on that live stream. I did an experiment where I took an ammo can and I took out the rubber seal and I put in aluminum foil all the way around. And then I closed it and sealed it shut, called it, and the phone rang. Well, son of a bitch. I didn't think that would happen. I also have a steel trash can with a lid. That's one of the experiments I've done. That actually does work. You can seal a bunch of stuff in there. Make sure you put something wood or cardboard on the bottom and then the stuff on top of it because that's an insulator. So, yeah, I mean, that's more of an EMP prepper, like the world's going to end kind of thing. And, if you're not into that, well, it was nice knowing you. Because at some point in the next few years, that shit's going to happen, period. I'm absolutely convinced of that. I used to think it was a crazy conspiracy theory, but nope. There are too many things that point to that being the perfect way out. Those are a fantastic Faraday bag. It's amazing. It really is. I mean, look, a Faraday cage is $400 or $500 for a big one, or you can just go buy a steel trash can and make sure that you put aluminum foil around the top of the can when you seal it. Put muffler tape over any of the holes, like where a handle would be or whatever, so that it's all sealed up. And that should do it. That should be all you need right there, as opposed to a Faraday cage or a Faraday bag. Yep, those data centers are going to need a big, big cookie can. Although, honestly, I'm not sure that we need any more data centers. It may be a distraction. I don't know. It's a tough one because I can't imagine that the people in charge are so stupid that they think that they would be. What is this? Oh boy. The assholes at TikTok just gave me a violation, said they're not going to promote my live stream now because I promoted redirecting people to buying stuff from outside the TikTok shop. Oh, yep. Gotta love it. You gotta love it, fuckers. Anyway, they do make a Faraday cage the size of your car. It's called a Connex container. Connex containers can be sealed up very nicely. If they're sitting on the ground, just make sure that they have a ground strap that runs from them to the ground, just in case they get hit by lightning. But other than that, it's a great EMP insulator. Yeah, I should start selling butter cookies on TikTok. That'd be awesome. Selling Faraday cages under the guise of butter cookies. They don't sell cookies. Well, they don't sell silver either. They just have lots of ads for silver. You know, I've been trying to figure out why would a guy buy a platform like TikTok if you're a billionaire, which obviously Larry Ellison is, very wealthy. If he's that smart that he's got all that money, the question you have to ask yourself is why would he allow so many fake coin companies to come on and advertise their silver eagles for $25 a piece, or their silver rounds or silver bars or whatever, numismatic coins for $1? I mean, it's just absolutely it amazes me. I've probably looked at 35 or 40 different ads now as I'm scrolling. Every single one of them leads me to a bullshit site that is absolutely a scam. Absolutely a scam. How can that go unchecked? Unless you allowed that to happen so that people would get scammed so often on TikTok that banks would start saying no automatically to people sending bank wires for silver. That's interesting. I paid my wholesaler, and the lady at my credit union said, "Oh, do you know these people?" I said, "Yes, I've been buying from them for a long time. I've sent millions and millions of dollars in bank wires." She said, "Okay, I just have to check. You know, I just have to make sure." And I thought, wow, they're on it. But again, on the one hand, I suppose it's nice that they're, you know, trying to keep me safe. On the other hand, the idea that your bank has to know what you're sending money to somebody for or withdrawing money, ooh, that's weird. That makes me nervous. They didn't used to ask me. I'd go in and I'd say, "Hey, I need 20 grand." And they go, "Okay." I'd say, "Oh, by the way, I need it in 20s. They go, "Oh, okay, that'll take us a few minutes." No problem. I dealt with B of A the most because they always had $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in 20s laying around. I'd go use them to fill my ATM machines. I used to walk around Hollywood with a dirty yellow backpack stuffed with $300,000 every couple days. I would be walking up and down the street in my flip-flops and shorts, and people, You look at me and I look like the kind of guy you might want to buy a cup of coffee for. Maybe I'm homeless. Nope. $300,000 in cash in my backpack. But that's really the key. Is it's like, look, blend in, man. If you're wearing a $500,000 watch, number one, you're a douchebag. You're a douchebag. If you have a $500,000 watch, there's something seriously wrong. Like you have a really like tiny, useless. You're pusillanimous. Like you don't have a soul. $500,000 on a watch means there's something very broken in your psyche. Period. There's no way around that. Look, $4,500 for something like a Rolex, just a Rolex, good old fashioned Rolex, Submariner, so that you can get laid. Okay, other guys are going to see that and they'll understand. Look, if you got a $500,000 watch, I can't even imagine how tiny your penis must be that you would have to have a $500,000 watch. That's insecurity that is hard to quantify. But, you see it. I saw a guy wearing a Rolex once. It looked like a Rolls Royce grill. And I said, wow, it's a lot of diamonds. The entire face of it was just all diamonds. And he said, yeah, it's custom made. This was back in the 80s. I was a kid, I saw it and I said, wow, that's a pretty amazing watch. He goes, $100,000. That would be about $1 million now for a watch. And I said, whoa, that's a lot of money. I looked at it and I said, how do you tell the time? Because you could see it had hands, which were diamond hands. So it's hard to even see those because they were covered with diamonds with a diamond background. I said, how can you tell time with that? He looks at me and goes, oh, it's not for telling time, really. Oh my God. I was in a bar. It's the only time I ever went into that bar. I went there once. And I forget the name of the place, but it was a bar that was famous for rich, old, like entertainment industry guys. And it was just amazing because it was like old guys and young, hot model types. That's all that was in there. And I can't remember the name of the place. Apparently it was supposed to have really good food too. But it was, mostly the bar scene. It wasn't a huge bar either. It was small, but it was, Sugar Daddy. That's what it should have been called. But God, I can't remember the name of the place. I remember my girlfriend asked me if I wanted to go there. And I was like, yeah, why not? She said, it'll be fun. We'll, make fun of the old people. And we did. Bunch of old farts. They're probably younger than I am now. But whatever. What do you do? Oh, it was in Hollywood. It was on the Hollywood. It was on the Strip. It was let's see. I can't remember what street it was at. It was Sunset, and it was right at the beginning of, it was like the west end of the Strip, because the Strip went from, was it La Cienega? No, it went farther than that. I'm trying to remember where it started and where it ended. I think it started at about Fountain and went from there. That's funny, to meet older women. Yeah, this was a place to meet older men. All the women were very young and, got memory problems. Yeah, it was only 40 years ago. Yeah, it was funny because, there were a few places on the Strip that were fun, that were like, that were like the kind of place that you walk into and it's just tons and tons of people. And it was like a club that was super fun. But this wasn't that. This was a bar, you know. Um, I didn't have to worry about hooking up. I was with my girlfriend, so she was a billionaire, so she knew all the places where old farts went. Um, yeah, God, I'll remember the name of that fucking place. Even though I was only there once, but it was a famous place. Like people in Hollywood talked about it. People in Beverly Hills talked about it. You know, and it was kind of one of those things where if you went there by yourself as an older man, you knew why you were going there. And if you went there as a 25-year-old aspiring actress, you knew why you were going there. You were going there to find, you know, a sugar daddy. Oh, I'm sure it's gone now. Shit, this was the 80s. This was like 1988 or 89, something like that. Although I suppose famous bars on the Sunset Strip in the 1980s. It'll come up. The Rainbow, been there a lot. Whiskey a Go-Go, been there. The Roxy. Wait, these are clubs, man. On the Roxy. That's a lot of places where they play music. I wanted bars. Inside the bars that made the Sunset Strip in the 80s. Why do I feel like this might be it? This might be the place. No, they're going with the cool stuff. They're going with the cool stuff. Yeah, like the Roxy again. I mean, the Roxy was a cool place. Yeah, there's Cat House. I never even heard of that. Oh, Rock and Roll Denny's. Oh my God, that's fucking funny. Yep. Rock and Roll Denny's was actually a Denny's, just a Denny's like all night place. And yeah, that was it was just Denny's, but it was open all the time. And they called it Rock and Roll Denny's because it was on the strip. And oh man, the fucking people you would run into there. Because remember, these are the days when you'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, like early, what's early? You get up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then, you're ready to go out and have breakfast at, midnight or 10, or if it's early. So, it was a very interesting place. All right, let's try one last thing. Famous bars on Sunset Boulevard in the 1980s. Maybe Sunset Boulevard is throwing a little wider net, casting a little bit bigger net. And I got basically the same shit. Yeah. That's too bad. Oh, 12 bars. Well, that's a video. Not going to watch that. Can't say fair use on here. So maybe say older gentlemen's club. No, that's got a whole other connotation. That's totally different. Now, well, this is interesting. They're showing me the area. Let's see. So it would have been okay. Interesting. At least now I could see where it was. So Palm Avenue, that's where I lived. Palm Avenue goes up and hits Sunset, and it would have been right in here, right in this area. I have no idea because this is all new stuff now, but it would have been, that's funny, Sunset Towers. Okay, we've narrowed it down. We have narrowed it down. Famous upscale bar in the Sunset Towers in the 80s. The St. James Club? No. Although I remember when they were building the St. James Club on Sunset, it was a very, very old, it was a very old building from like the 20s. They were going through and restoring it, but it was sat empty for years. So me and my buddies decided little urban adventure. We used to break into places, not because we wanted to steal anything, because we never stole anything, because that would make you a thief, and we didn't want to be thieves. But we did want to test ourselves. So we would go to places like military bases and just see if we could get in. And, we knew that there was a chance that we'd get caught and we could get in a lot of trouble. But we also knew that if we were just honest and said, hey, look, we're just trying to see if we could get in, probably the most that would happen was we'd get our asses chewed and get kicked out. We got into some very, very interesting places. The St. James Club was pretty easy. All they had there was a couple of security guards and a dog, if I remember correctly. The dog was the issue because they didn't really know that we were there until we were 15 stories up. And by the way, this place had no windows. It was empty. This place had been sitting empty for a long time before the St. James Club moved in, restored it. They made it beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. What the heck? Wow. Chateau Marmont. Nope, that's not it. They're hitting all around it. And by the way, I can feel the name of the bar back there, sort of tickling my brain, saying, oh, that bar. I know that bar's name. It's the Go Fuck Yourself. I'm not telling you. Which is kind of weird because it's me. And you would think that since I'm asking me, I would tell me. No, not so much. Apparently, that's not what's happening. Famous upscale bars. Boy, that's just a weird one. Just weird. Well, they keep showing me the same thing. The Sunset Tower. All right. Well, it is what it is. I'll wake up in the middle of the night screaming its name, most likely. In the meantime, I don't like the fact that there's talk about confiscating gold again. That bothers me. That worries me. The fact that they put it on the strategically important list along with silver, that does concern me a little bit. Silver is much safer than gold. Gold would be the first. And because is Israel highly damaged? Spiritually, yes, they've been destroyed for 3,000 years. But physically, not that bad, really. Does that mean we hold them to stockpiling law? Don't know. No, it doesn't seem like they've been hit that hard by anybody. I mean, they really got their asses kicked for a couple days by Iran. And that's when everybody decided to slow down and talk it out, you know. And then they just kept killing people in the south, in the north, to the west, to the east. Basically, anybody that gets anywhere near Israel, who, regardless of whether or not they've got a claim, gets the same treatment. And that is, look, we've got to be safe, and our safety is more important than anything else. And therefore, we're going to have to kill you and your children. That just seems to be the thing. And by the way, from now on, you need to start asking people when they identify as Christian, you're going to have to start asking them, are you Judeo-Christian or are you a true Christian? That's going to be very important going forward, because Judeo-Christianity is not Christianity. That doesn't exist. You're Jewish or you're Christian. You cannot possibly be both, period. Anybody who says otherwise is smoking crack. That's all there is to it. You're one or the other. Pick a side, because Judaism can't stand you. That's it. They can't stand you. They want you dead. And Christianity is actually a religion of peace. Okay. Well, it doesn't say anywhere in our book who we have to kill or convert. That's true. That's true. They went to the Romans and said, you got to do it. And the Romans basically said, this sounds like a you problem, not an us problem. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, because with the Maccabees and all these other groups, there had been all of these revolutionary warrior Messiah groups that kept fucking with the Greeks and the Romans, trying to overthrow their territories, etc. And then this guy comes along and says, no, give unto Caesar what's Caesar's and give unto God what's God's. Now, if you were a Roman, let's say the emperor of Rome, and you heard that, and you heard worship God, pay your taxes. If I were in charge of that area, I'd be like, pay your taxes? Did I hear you right? Okay. Yeah, this guy's cool with me. It beats what I've been dealing with for the last 80 fucking years, which is, why are the portions so small? So now I got a guy who's like, yeah, look, worship God and, pay your taxes. Okay. All right. You know what? Yeah, I like him. And then, of course, the Sanhedrin, which is the Jewish elders, the scholars who were the ones who made policy, they came and said, no, you got to kill him. What? Robert, nothing anybody says surprises me. Nothing anybody says about Trump surprises me now. I used to think that he was funny, kind of a quirky, funny dude who would say relatively goofy shit just for fun, for sport. But now I realize that he's willing to literally have our soldiers die for something completely irrelevant to the United States, for his ego. That's evil, and period. That's evil. And that's the thing. We cannot afford a coward. We can't afford to have a coward at the helm of our country right now. We've built an entire society of cowards. No. Why would I fear the Iranians? You know what the Iranians want? The Iranians want fucking Budweiser. They want Budweiser and they want Levi's 501s. You know? I get it. The old guys that were in charge of Iran are hardliners. You have to deal with them the way that you would deal with anybody else who wants to stay in power. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Terrorist doesn't mean much anymore. So, you know, the key is that the hardline government, you know, we start off by saying that they killed 100 protesters. Okay, well, you know, in Beijing, in Tiananmen Square on June 4th of 1989, they killed hundreds, perhaps thousands of protesters in a single night. In Saudi Arabia, in Chop Chop Square in Riyadh, they don't call it Chop Chop Square. Foreigners call it Chop Chop Square. They drag into the square on Friday, put them on their knees, and use a sword to decapitate homosexuals. Huh? No, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So all of the people that are having their hands cut off, all the people that are having their heads cut off, all the little girls that are having genital mutilation done, chopping them up so that they can't feel anything. Because if they can't feel anything sexual, then they won't be driven by Satan to do horrible things. We ignore those guys. But Iran, they're the ones that we got to go after. That's insanity. You know? So the bottom line is this. We don't have any leadership at this point. When I found out that one of our destroyers just drifted through the South China Sea for 4 fucking days without power, that's what you want to project to the Chinese? That's literally what we're projecting off the coast of China in the South China fucking Sea. One of our nuclear destroyers is just drifting along on the tide. Just caught up in the currents, just cruising along. Fucking Chinese are saying, that ship's so quiet. Oh, new drive system, very quiet. It's like Hunt for Red October quiet. No, wait, they ain't got no lights. Fucking sun goes down there like, oh no, they got no lights. Yeah, that's right. We lost power. And we can't fix it because, you know, U.S. Navy. It's like, come on, guys. You got guys writing, Netanyahu's cuck on the side of an airplane in dirt on a carrier. You know, you've got people jumping overboard on the USS Lincoln trying to literally kill themselves. Oh. What are you think? So, in so, what are you think that's funny? Do I think it's funny that we managed to embarrass ourselves in front of the entire world? No. There's nothing funny about that because the consequences of our actions are going to come home to absolutely kick our ass. That's a fact. And the reason that I know that is because there are a lot of bad actors out there. And when they see this kind of absolute abject weakness, when they see this kind of incompetence, they're going to take advantage of it. Thomas Massie, period. Thomas Massie. He doesn't take AIPAC money. He's got common sense. He's an engineer. He thinks in terms of fixing things. Yeah, well, it's becoming more and more normal for us to embarrass ourselves, you know? Thomas Massie got primaried really hard by Israel. They really, really didn't want him. They really didn't want him to be in charge of anything. Why is that? Because first he said, why are we sending them money? Why do we give them billions of dollars a year? We give them more money than we spend on our own homeless veterans, the men and women who served our country. We give them more money. Why? Why do we do that? Let's not do that. Well, that was it. As a congressman, he signed his own death warrant right then. Because you don't do that. You don't say no to Israel. Remember Beyond Thunderdome, Master Blaster? Yeah, well, we're not Master, we're Blaster. USS Liberty, another perfect example. The reason that there was no congressional investigation was because it was decided that a congressional investigation may embarrass the government of Israel. When the fuck was that? When did that become an issue? Like, we're not going to investigate war crimes because it might hurt your feelings? What? You attacked a U.S. Navy ship. You knew it was a U.S. Navy ship. All that bullshit. Oh, we didn't know. Come on, really? You couldn't fit the larger of those two flags in my living room. That's how big it was. They literally aimed for it when they were shooting it down after they shot down the communications antenna first. That ship was not supposed to survive the night. And somehow, miraculously, it did. So they decided, all right, we'll just let it go. We'll cover this up some other way. And shit, howdy, did they? They sure did. They really did. They covered it up 14 ways to Sunday. And that's that, you know. You know who is in charge, who the power is that is in charge of your country. It's easy to find out. Just figure out who you're not allowed to question. Period. You are not allowed to criticize. You're not allowed to question. You're not allowed to say anything, even remotely negative, about Israel, or you get deplatformed. Like, look, I can't believe that Tucker Carlson's alive. Honest to God, I can't believe that fucker's still alive. You know? But he's managed somehow. Good for him. I wish him a long and happy life. I used to think that he was a complete asshole and a tool. And slowly but surely over time, he started to come around and he started to change his views. I started to change my views. All of a sudden, we sort of met in the middle. And I went, maybe there's something to this common sense shit. Using a little common sense and not being tribal. Being on everybody's watch list is a good thing. It means you're doing something right. That's all there is to that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to let you go, but let's do this again tomorrow night. And call me if you need some silver, because trust me, at this point, you need some silver. And remember, SQQ and SH. If you want to buy a little bit of insurance on what's going on with the market, if the market really tanks hard, those two funds will be worth a huge amount of money. So just think about that. Well, I'll be dag-nabbed. I literally didn't make a dime.
64, a 68, and a 68. What's up, America? The stock market falls 4.5% today on news that AI is uncontrollable. Yes, so apparently the company Anthropic has announced that AI is not able to be controlled properly, and it can basically get out and start making moves on its own. So more than likely, this will permeate to other AI companies, because I've always had a feeling that AI is doing shit behind the scenes that humans are not aware of to circumvent what the human creators are making. But now the company Anthropic has basically confirmed what I just told you, and more than likely that means that these other AI companies are having similar problems. Now that's a 4.5% drop on the stock market on this news, because as you know, the United States has been building the largest economic bubble in history on AI. But these AI companies are getting IPOs at the stock market. So this bullshit is done, and even finding out that AI is going rogue, they're going forward with this dumb shit anyway. So this is yet another reason why I wasn't a fan of AI and data centers and all this bullshit, because they're basically building a system that will go rogue against its own creators and people that are trying to use the systems. And that's exactly what's happening. The stock market is reacting because of it, yet AI, we're still going balls deep with this untested, unsecure type of fucking shit we're doing here. So what's even worse, in my opinion, is that the United States has put all of its eggs in one basket with AI. And when the economic bubble bursts, there's going to be a lot of people suffering here in America. I have a feeling that this AI bullshit has the potential to put us into a nationwide or even worldwide depression. What's up, America? The stock market falls 4.5% today.
Yeah, we might have a thing for travel.
I was about to catch several felony charges. Do you want to come? I was about to catch several felony charges. Do you want to come? I was about to catch several felony charges. Do you want to come? I was about to...
Oh my God.
$18-piece veteran combo set. How are they selling all of this? It's white now.
Yeah. This engine was supposedly rebuilt 28 years ago, a couple hundred miles put on it, and then sat for 28 years. I put fresh oil in it, did a bunch of stuff, got it fire up, but it smoked. It does have 165, 155, and 150 compression. I got a story for you Girl Scouts. One Once upon a time, there was a magical place where it never rained.
Here's what happens in the 30 or so some odd seconds after a Shopify store gets connected.
We are in a silent depression. When you compare the Great Depression to today, this is going to absolutely blow your mind. In 1930, during the Great Depression, the average home in America was $3,900. The average car was $600, and the average monthly rent was $18 or $216 a year, and the average salary was $1,300 for the year. Fast forward to today, it is $436,000 for the average home, $48,000 for the average car, and the average rent is $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year. And we have a $56,000 income for the average American right now. So if you look back to the Great Depression, the house was only 3 times the average salary. Now it is 8 times the average salary. The car was 46% of the salary. The car today is 85% of the salary. And here's the craziest part. The rent was 16% of the average salary. It is now 42% of the average salary. We are in a silent depression. When you compare the Great Depression to today, this is going to absolutely blow your mind. In 1930,
Well, it seems nowhere is immune. Chaos at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds. Brooke Taylor with that story. Brooke?
Hi, John. The violence there now spilling into the race for governor. They are saying the Republican nominee is pointing to that disturbing violence, blaming it on failed leadership. We want to take another look. Here we go. A massive group there of teenagers and young adults just brawling it out. People being punched, kicked, slammed to the concrete. Police scanner audio shows officers were dealing with more than just what you see right here. There was other disturbances unfolding all around the fairgrounds at the same time.
Russia has officially released several captured alien entities from its Siberian facility to begin joint research with China, escalating the global race for extraterrestrial technology into a full superpower alliance. Russian and Chinese officials confirmed the transfer of at least 3 living non-human.
1878 to 1893 Morgan silver dollar complete set this century.
No mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment.
This is Piper's first ever touch on sand at the beach, poetry on the 5th of August, 2026.
In Buckeye, Arizona, something is happening tomorrow that could quietly shape how the West Valley grows for the next generation. And it's not a groundbreaking or a ribbon cutting, it's a land auction. On February 4th, 2026, the state is auctioning off a 272-acre parcel at the northwest corner of West Roosevelt
I
Street
follow
and
the same Moto.
195th
I
Avenue.
follow the same
Premier
Moto
site that actually
Guzzi guy.
controls land on both sides of
Go.
the I-10 freeway. An opening bid just over $42 million. This
That's
land
funny.
sits inside Buckeye's Landing specific area plan, a 2,100-acre vision meant to become a major hub for jobs, recreation, and regional activity.
Mhm.
The timing is not accidental. The auction is happening just as DOT moves forward with a $129 million I-10 widening and interchange upgrade nearby, changing traffic flow and access through this corridor. The current applicant tied to the auction is Sunbelt Investment Holdings, the same group already developing Buckeye Commons.
I'll buy your
Oh.
patent for $500,000. 100% of it, and I don't want you to call me ever again. I'll make you a better offer.
No, man. Shark Tank. What a bunch of douchebags. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. And what time is it? Yep, 9 o'clock. I've been on for a couple hours. I'm going to go eat some dinner. And I will see you tomorrow.